That person who annoys you, the one whose behavior makes your blood boil, the coworker you can't stand, the stranger who triggers instant disgust. What if I told you they are showing you something about yourself you've spent your entire life hiding? Mirror of your soul. Carl Jung discovered one of psychology's most uncomfortable truths, that the qualities we hate most in others are often the very traits we refuse to see in ourselves. This isn't about being nice or tolerant. This is about looking into a mirror that shows you who you really are. As Jung himself warned, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Today, we're going to expose the hidden mechanism that's been running your judgments, your relationships, and your entire perception of reality. What you discover might disturb you, but it will also set you free. The shadow self. Before we can understand projection, we need to meet the part of you that you've been running from your entire life. Jung called it the shadow, the repository of everything you've rejected about yourself. Think about it. From the moment you were born, you received messages about who you should be. Be nice, be strong, don't be selfish, don't be weak. And every time you buried a part of yourself to fit those expectations, it didn't disappear. It grew. It went underground into the darkness of your unconscious mind. Your anger didn't vanish when you learned anger was bad. Your jealousy didn't evaporate when you were told jealousy was shameful. These parts of you simply went into hiding. And here's the terrifying truth: the shadow doesn't stay hidden. It leaks out in ways you can't control, in sudden outbursts of rage, in inexplicable attractions, in judgments that feel mysteriously intense. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. But the shadow's favorite escape route: projection. And that's where things get truly fascinating. The projection trap. Projection is your mind's most elaborate defense mechanism. It works like this: you have a trait you cannot accept in yourself. Maybe it's aggression. Maybe it's selfishness. Maybe it's a secret desire you've labeled as wrong. Instead of acknowledging this trait, your unconscious mind performs a magic trick. See it in others. Suddenly, that trait you refuse to own becomes their trait. You don't see yourself as aggressive, but you see aggressive people everywhere. You don't think you're selfish, but the world seems full of selfish people. The projection is complete and you have no idea it happened. Freud first identified this mechanism as a way we protect our ego from unbearable truths. But Jung took it further. He realized projection isn't just defense, it's a map to your buried self. Every strong emotional reaction to someone else is a signpost saying, "Look here. This is where you need to look." The person you hate is carrying your shadow for you. And until you take it back, you'll keep seeing it everywhere you go. But why does this matter so much for your daily life? The judgment test. Here's a simple test. Think of someone who genuinely bothers you, not a minor annoyance, someone whose behavior creates a real emotional charge. Maybe they are arrogant, maybe they are manipulative, maybe they're needy or attention-seeking. Now ask yourself the most uncomfortable question possible: where does this same quality exist in me? Your immediate reaction will probably be denial. I'm nothing like them. But that very intensity of denial is often the clearest sign of projection. We tend to be calm about traits we've genuinely integrated. It's the disowned parts that trigger us. Consider the person who can't stand show-offs. Often, they have buried desires for recognition they've never allowed themselves to express. The one who hates fake people may be suppressing their own adaptive personas. The critic of selfish behavior may be denying their own needs. As the psychologist Robert Bly wrote, "The brighter the light you project, the darker the shadow you create." This doesn't mean your judgment is wrong about others, but it does mean there's always a second layer, a message about yourself hidden inside every strong reaction. Golden shadows. Now here's something that might surprise you. Projection doesn't only work with negative traits. We also project our unowned greatness onto others. Jung called this the golden shadow, the positive qualities we refuse to claim as our own. Your hidden greatness. Think of someone you deeply admire, someone whose abilities seem almost magical to you. Their creativity, their confidence, their courage. What if those qualities you worship in them are actually dormant capacities within yourself that you've never given permission to develop? We project our unlived life onto our heroes just as we project our rejected darkness onto our enemies. The person who idolizes artists may have buried their own creative impulse. The one who worships confident leaders may have suppressed their own power. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. This is why both hatred and worship can be traps. Both keep you from owning what's actually yours. The goal isn't to stop admiring or stop judging. It's to recognize these reactions as invitations to reclaim lost parts of yourself. But there's somewhere projection causes the most damage. Love's blind spots. Romantic relationships are projection's favorite playground. In the beginning, we project our golden shadow onto our partner. They seem perfect. They embody everything we've ever wanted. Magical. This is the intoxication of new love, and much of it is us falling in love with our own projected potential. Then something shifts. The honeymoon ends, and suddenly we start seeing all their flaws, the traits that irritate us, the behaviors we can't stand. What happened? The negative shadow projection has begun. All those disowned parts of ourselves we were keeping hidden now get projected onto the person closest to us. This is why couples often fight about the same issues repeatedly. They're not just disagreeing about dishes or money. They are unconsciously trying to work out their own inner conflicts through each other. Your partner becomes a screen for your shadow. As Jung observed, the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents. We pass our unresolved shadows not just to partners but to children. Until we do our own inner work, we unconsciously burden others with carrying our rejected selves. But awareness alone isn't enough. You need to know what to do about it. Reclaiming power. So how do you take back your projections? The first step is developing what Jung called shadow awareness, the capacity to catch yourself in the act of projecting. Catch yourself in the act. Start paying attention to your strongest reactions. When you feel disproportionate anger, disgust, or even admiration towards someone, pause. Ask yourself, what is this intensity really about? What would it mean if this quality existed in me too? This isn't about self-blame. It's about self-discovery. The goal is to expand your self-concept to include the parts you've exiled. This is what Jung called integration, bringing the unconscious into consciousness, making the hidden visible. One powerful technique is dialoguing with your projections. When you notice yourself judging someone harshly, try speaking from their perspective. What would they say in their defense? What need might be driving their behavior? Often, you'll discover that defending them means defending a part of yourself you've condemned. This is uncomfortable work. It requires humility and courage, but the reward is extraordinary: freedom from reactions that have controlled you your entire life. The freedom paradox. Here's the paradox that changes everything. By accepting the parts of yourself you've rejected, you actually gain power over them. As long as your aggression stays in the shadow, it controls you through projections and outbursts. Once you acknowledge, I have aggression in me, you can choose when and how to express it. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. This is true for every shadow trait. Your neediness, acknowledged, becomes the capacity for healthy connection. Your selfishness, integrated, becomes appropriate self-care. Your grandiosity, owned, becomes genuine confidence. Accept to transform. The traits themselves aren't the problem. It's the denial that makes them toxic. When you stop projecting your darkness onto others, something remarkable happens. You stop needing enemies. You stop needing people to carry your shadow for you. Your relationships become cleaner, less charged with unconscious drama. And you start to see people as they actually are, not as screens for your unresolved psychology. But there's one more piece to this puzzle that brings it all together: the mirror's gift. Every person who triggers you is a teacher. Every strong reaction is a curriculum. The world becomes a continuous mirror showing you exactly where your growth edges lie. Teacher. This doesn't mean tolerating abuse or ignoring genuine wrongdoing. Some people really are harmful, and your reactions can be appropriate warnings. The work is distinguishing between accurate perception and projection, between seeing someone clearly and seeing your shadow through them. One clue: Projection usually comes with emotional charge that feels outsized to the situation. Another clue: the same type of person keeps appearing in your life, triggering the same reactions, until you learn what they're teaching. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The irritating coworker, the frustrating family member, the stranger who inexplicably bothers you, they're all carrying messages from your unconscious. When you learn to read these messages, the entire world becomes your therapist. Every relationship becomes an opportunity for self-discovery. Every trigger becomes a doorway to greater wholeness. We started with a simple question: why do we hate in others what we hide in ourselves? Now you know the answer. Your shadow, that collection of everything you've rejected about yourself, doesn't disappear. It projects outward, painting the world with your unresolved psychology. See yourself clearly. Your enemies carry your darkness. Your heroes carry your unlived potential. Your partners become screens for both. And every strong reaction you have is a message from your depths, asking to be heard. But here's the ultimate truth Jung discovered: this mechanism that seems like a curse is actually a gift. Because the shadow that causes so much suffering is also the key to becoming whole. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. Every time you catch a projection and reclaim it as your own, you become more complete, more powerful, more free. The person who does this work stops needing the world to carry their rejected selves. They stop fighting the same battles, repeating the same patterns, attracting the same problems. They wake up. So the next time someone triggers you, before you react, pause. Ask yourself, what is this really about? What are they showing me that I refuse to see? The mirror is always there. The question is whether you have the courage to look. If this opened your eyes, subscribe for more wisdom that transforms.